When I was a kid, we didn't have no insurance. We didn't have a damn thing. You had to be damn near dead to go see the doctor. You had to be way past Robitussin. That's all we had when I was a kid. Robitussin. No matter what you got, Robitussin better handle it. Daddy, I got asthma. Robitussin. I got cancer. Robitussin. I had broke my leg and Daddy poured Robitussin all over it. And if you run out of tussin, well, you just put some water in the jar and you shake it up. Motussin, Motussin, Motussin. I sat in the waiting room for 30 minutes after calling ahead and reported my condition when I arrived. After I'd bled through the nice chair in the waiting room, the nurse looked alarmed about the chair. Hi, my name is Dr. Kotowski, but you can call me Doc, Doctor, or Dr. K, which is what most people choose to do. When the doctor arrived, he explained to me that I was probably just too fat, and that spotting was normal, and he sent me home. But I was not clear. I'm not healthy most days, but he sent me home. There was a study, and it's racism. It showed that doctors prescribe opioids more frequently to white people than they do to black people. They're like, oh, this white person, they're in such pain, and I just hate to see white people hurting. I had a double mastectomy. Do you know what they sent me home with? Ibuprofen. See, y'all like doctors because they don't cure shit. They don't cure nothing. For centuries, Black people have had a strong aversion against the medical community as a whole. From our pain being constantly ignored by examiners to our bodies being used for experimental studies without consent. This complicated and one-sided relationship of trauma only fuels death rates and perpetrates ignorance when it comes to health within the Black community, such as today, as the world goes through the COVID-19 pandemic. While Blacks make up 13% of the U.S. population, they account for 30% of COVID-19 cases and 40% of COVID-19 deaths. For centuries, Black people have been the backbone of medicine. But even now, history still seems to repeat itself as we can't reap the benefits that Black bodies once sown. So, from the poem The Health of Us by Claudia Rankine, articles from Time Magazine, Rewire News, and PBS News. The dramas I Got Sick, Then I Got Better by Jenny Allen. This Is Us by Dan Fogelman. Grey's Anatomy by Shonda Rhimes. Holly Lost by Phil Redmond. The comedies by Wanda Sykes, Dave Chappelle, and Chris Rock. The Prescription, a program. Because although medicine keeps advancing off the experimentation of Black bodies, they still can't seem to find the right prescription to keep us alive. First of all, Black people don't trust doctors. I swear to fulfill, to the best of my ability and judgment, this covenant. I will respect the hard-won scientific gains of those physicians whose footsteps I walk in and gladly share such knowledge as is mine to those who follow. Doctor after doctor just shrugged their shoulder and sent me home without a diagnosis, regardless of who I saw. Doctors eyed my emergency visits with suspicion. What happened to the brother in Dallas? Where was his secret serum, as we said? At the beginning of Ebola, there were 2 American doctors that got sick in Africa. They flew them on a private jet straight to the CDC. Girl, I didn't even know the CDC saw patients. It was said that they had a secret serum. I don't know what was in it, but it's just like the Colonel Sanders recipe. And both of these doctors survived. They're out there somewhere tonight at a Whole Foods, walking around, touching vegetables, acting like everything's okay. Hey, Frank, how are you? Oh, me? You didn't hear? I had Ebola last week, but I'm doing all right now. See, I was bleeding out my eyes and my anus, so I got concerned, but I'm okay. What happened to the brother in Dallas? Well, they just rubbed some bits on his chest. Good luck, little buddy. I knew he wasn't gonna make it. I started hurting. I walked, I stretched, I took a hot bath, I called my mother, I called the nurse. The nurse said it was just probably constipation and I should try to use the bathroom. I will remember that I do not treat a cancerous growth, a fever chart, but a sick human being whose illness may affect that person's family. My responsibility is to care adequately for the sick. I thought the cough, the burn, my chest was probably nothing. After 3 days, the inability to breathe, to sleep, and by the end of those 3 days, I had not slept for more than 15 minutes straight in almost 70 hours. Women are sent to therapists instead of being provided pain management because they are frequently assumed to be overly emotional and hysterical by emergency room doctors. It all came to head when I was held in the ER room for 6 hours while doctors after doctors came in and tried to convince me that I did not need to be in the hospital. It was only after hour 7. After hysterically crying, yelling at doctors, they finally decided to do an ultrasound. The doctor turned to me and said, "You should have said something. White people get opioids like they're tit-tats. I mean, for a black person to get some opioids, they would have to show up at the emergency room with their own head detached from their body like, excuse me, can I get some help out here?" After all, a doctor would never deny care to someone with legitimate need, right? I think I might have been racist. I mean, I don't think I did anything wrong, but she thinks I did. I mean, if I'm doing it and not even noticing it, I just don't know why this is even a big deal all of a sudden. Is it because I am in pain? I'm frightened about my future and my being. Why would I want to appear sick? I need a diagnosis that you medical idiots can give me. I am not your experiment. We know of our being. We aren't stupid or ignorant or naive. We understood that private options would treat the disease and not just the symptoms. That private options meant access to specialists, to privacy, to a team of doctors, to brand name drugs. We thought we understood, but despite being founded by genocide and sustained by slavery in God's country, we thought that we were ready to see sanity inside humanity. We thought the impossibility of real equality. Women like me should be able to walk into any hospital in the country and be confident that we will receive adequate care. I had a checkup with my oncologist. "How are you feeling?" she says. I feel as though I might not have gotten cancer, or it might not have been this bad if the first doctors had done more tests. They should have paid attention to my pain. She just looks at me. "Have you talked to a therapist about this? Women of color should not have to prove the legitimacy of their illness in order to get treatment. Now, perhaps this can only happen with the dismantling of racism, but for the sake of my sisters with chronic pain, I hope It doesn't take that long.